Good evening. Welcome to the December 6th, 2021 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. This time I will call the meeting to order and ask you all to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we jump in, Councilor Wedlake asked for a second to make an announcement.
Yes, so thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. Before we got this meeting started, there was a piece of business that needed to be taken care of. I felt more appropriate at the beginning of this meeting rather than with any further delay. I haven't really prepared what I was going to say for this tonight, aside to say that it has been one of the honors of my life to sit up here in front of the public that I grew up with and be one of your elected representatives. The last 5 years has posed certain challenges, from public health crises, political challenges of varying sorts, 200-year floods, some of the coldest weather we've ever experienced, et cetera, et cetera. And through that, Stillwater has remained one of the greatest cities I have ever had the opportunity to live in. Recently, an opportunity arose surrounding a possible business acquisition that, if pursued, would make it less appropriate for me to continue as a voting member of this council. After a lot of introspection, after a lot of personal reflection, after a lot of counsel with my family, I made the very difficult decision to pursue this business acquisition. And as such, would pose a situation where my resignation would be the most appropriate course of action. And so it is with a fair amount of despondence that, effective immediately, I will be resigning my seat as a voting member of this council. This was a decision I did not arrive at lightly. I have enjoyed being a representative of people that I've known most of my life. And I've been very proud to sit up here and be that representative. I depart tonight with the knowledge that our citizens remain very well represented, and in the hands of a very adept council. I do not question that our city is headed for great things, and I would have loved to have been up here with you guys as some of the stuff that's happening now comes to further fruition. That being said, the people's business deserves to be carried out with integrity, and we ourselves must be above reproach. And for those reasons, I felt it more appropriate that I resign rather than delay. I thank you all for the opportunity to serve you, and should my situation change, I look forward to your votes again someday. But for now, I will respectfully step down as a councilor of this great city with the understanding that I'm doing the right thing. I think that's it.
Well, thank you, Councilor Wedlake, Dr. Wedlake, for your service to the council for the last 5 years. Thank you for your words tonight. And while it's difficult to see you go. We appreciate the service that you've provided, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you all, and to you as well.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll see you in this room again soon. Just, albeit on that side.
Yeah. I think it would be appropriate for us to applaud for
Yes.
Dr. Butler. Ms. Carnley, I don't suppose there's anything the council has to do to accept a resignation of that Met?
No, under the city code, the next steps are just that the council will have 60 days to appoint somebody to fill the unexpired term.
Thank you. Okay, well, we will move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the consent docket. Councilors, are there any questions, comments, or is there a motion on the consent docket?
Motion to adopt the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the consent docket is approved. Public comment on items not scheduled for public hearings. I don't have anyone signed up for the evening, so we will jump down to general orders. Item A, approve a donation and naming rights agreement with Stillwater Designs and Audio, Inc. for the development and construction of the Block 34 Park. We'll have Pat Zimmerman and Jim Beckstrom give this presentation.
Mayor, councilors, City Manager Nickel. Pat Zimmerman, 3820 West Deer Crossing Drive, Chairman of Block 34 Trust. And Jim Beckstrom, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Jim Beckstrom, 2218 West 4th Avenue.
So Jim's our fundraising chair. I would like to, he's past chair of the trust. I'd like to introduce the other members of the Block 34 Trust that are here this evening. Vicky Berry, Vice Chair, and Ariel Ross. And since this is a momentous occasion, subject to you all approving what we're going to recommend, which I expect you might, is I'd like to also recognize past members of the trust, Russ Tubner, and then Kevin Fowler, who I replaced, and it seems like that's been almost 4 years ago, so I'm kind of the rookie for sure on the trust, but we've met numerous times, spent a lot of efforts looking at different plans and designs, and so we're excited tonight to come before you with 3 recommendations, and I'll turn it over to Jim. Jim's really the one that he's done all the heavy lifting, and some of the rest of us have just been standing on the sidelines watching Jim do magic. So, Jim, take it away.
Yeah, okay. Now what? How do I follow up with that? Can we go ahead and pull the image up? We're going to get to that in a minute here. Well, thank you all for your time and for your patience on us getting through 4 years of this, more or less. We are so fortunate to have Stillwater Design and Audio, Inc., Kicker, but also known as Kicker, and Mr. Irby is actually here tonight, he and Becky both, to come forward and help us, help make this possible. In fact, they're making this possible. So we have a recommendation. There's been agreements in the works for a while to capture what the intents of all the parties involved, and there's 3 recommendations here. The first one is a recommendation to the council to approve the donation and naming rights agreement with Stillwater Designs and Audio, Inc. for the development and construction of Block 34 to include an in-kind donation for architectural, engineering, design, construction documents, and an amazing $2.7 million donation for construction. The amazing's not in there, but that's just, my ad there. Just so everybody's clear, there's 2 parts to this specific item. One is the engineering design work, Kicker's going to cover that, pay for that, and that's going to be contributed to the city in kind, and then the $2.7 million is going to be cash repayment for construction. So, are there any questions on that? Or comments?
Counselors, any questions on the donation agreement?
I would just say last Thursday was such a fun evening, and that announcement was just so exciting, and I would just like to thank the Irbies for their incredible generosity and their commitment to our community. I know Block 34 has been a conversation and or project for a while, and I know that the financial side of that was always one of the challenges, and so I can hardly wait till the first concert gathering that occurs there, and I look forward to it as just me personally, but also for our community. So thank you, and for everyone that's been involved, thank you all.
Absolutely. Further questions on this item? Jim, do you have a recommendation for us?
To approve the donation naming rights agreement with Designs and Audio, Stillwater Designs and Audio, also known as Kicker, for the development and construction of the Block 34 Park, which is so described in the agreement, to include an in-kind donation for architectural, engineering, design, and construction documents, and a $2.7 million donation for construction of Block 34 Park. That's our request.
Jim, apologize, Jim. I just want to, Mr. Mayor, Block 34 Trust had a special meeting at 4 o'clock today, and we approved this item, and we recommend approval to the city council.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
That's why he's chairman.
Sorry, I'm going to chime in too. The Block 34 Trust identified one minor change in the document.
Yes. 4.2B. I'm sorry. Yes,
And
item 4.2B, there was a period and an alternatively needs to be scratched out. So
So we're looking at 4.2.1, which is termination of naming rights, and under B, non-delivery of
Yes.
gifts, there was just an
on
error.
page 5, it's just a typo.
Yes, following the sentence that begins foundation, comma, and SEDA, period. We're going to strike that period, strike the word alternatively, and then the rest of it makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So with that change,
Thank
they
you.
recommend approval.
Let's go ahead and take counselor comments or motions on this one, and then we'll move on to the second agreement. Counselors, questions, comments, or a motion on the donation agreement?
Motion to approve. Do I need to read it? Or just
I
say?
bet you can just refer to the trust
Refer to the trust
recommendation.
recommendation with the amendment of for the naming rights in 4.2B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the trust's recommendation and approve this agreement with the noted changes. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that agreement is approved. Jim, tell us about the second donation agreement.
Okay, the second donation agreement pertains to the operations and programming on the block. As you well know, if you build it, they may not come, and we want them to come. So, this again is a very generous gift from Stillwater Design. It's an $800,000 donation to cover 10 years of programming and operations and maintenance of the block, to be basically divided over a 10-year period, so $80,000 per year. $20,000 of that will go towards the city. The money's going to be donated to the Stillwater Community Center Foundation, and the foundation is then going to disperse to the program for programming and also to the city to help offset operating costs for the block. And are there any questions about that? Okay. Go ahead, Pat. You're
Yeah.
the chair. Get out.
Mr. Mayor, just also at the 4 o'clock meeting this afternoon, Block 34 Trust approved this item and also recommend approval to the city council.
Thank you, sir. No changes? Counselors, questions about this operations donation? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 34 Trust recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the trust recommendation and accept this donation agreement. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that item is approved. Before we move to item 6C, which is the conceptual architectural renderings for the development of Block 34, I do want to just echo Councilor Hawkins' comments a minute ago. Mr. Irby is in the audience tonight. I think Becky just walked in too. So we're just so incredibly grateful to you, to your family, to your business for everything Kicker has been to Stillwater over the years for sure, but also for this gift, a total of $3.5 million to a project that has been in the works and talked about for many, many years. To make that a reality is such a tremendous, tremendous gift to our community. And we look forward to working with you over the next several months. I know in speaking with Mr. Irby about this previously, his main goal is to get it actually built and done as quickly as we can. And so we are very excited to do that. And on behalf of the entire community, certainly on behalf of the council, to you, Steve and Becky, thank you, thank you, thank you. We won't make you stand up and give a speech tonight, but I expect there will be one at a ribbon cutting very soon. Now we'll go to item 6C, which is sort of the pretty picture part of it. So Jim, tell us about the our conceptual architectural renderings.
Yeah, so up on your screen here, you see the layout of the block. The concept was selected because it was very organic. You know, it's got some rounded shapes to it. It kind of blends into the contours of the site. The Kicker Amphitheater will be in the southwest corner, so that'd be the corner of 9th and Duncan. That was selected for several reasons. One is that we got we got advised that that the sun in the summer sets to the northwest, and so actually having this in the southwest is going to save the eyesight of your audience for summer concerts. So we thought that was good. So also the drainage of the block is from northeast to southwest. So we're going to take advantage, kind of what little bit of natural amphitheater aspect we have to the block by taking advantage of that slope down to that southwest corner. There's going to be access, so that number 7 is the amphitheater. Access to the amphitheater is number 8 there on the chart. And so it's coming off of Duncan. We've talked over and over again how we have that operationally that this community center and Block 34 are kind of connected at the hip. It only makes sense that the programming and the support for both of those facilities are connected, and that actually kind of helps that happen. In the northeast corner, number 2 is a pavilion, so it would be set up and overlooking the green, the very large lawn, which by the way is about 1.5 times the size of Guthrie Green. So this is a very big green space, and the focal point for the green space is the amphitheater. So folks take advantage of lots of xeriscaping around the perimeter. So you see lots of trees, and those are all xeriscape, landscape, and there's some gathering spaces mixed into there. On the east side, which is along Husband Street, you see shaded in blue. The vision was that that'd be set up to support food trucks. So your guests would have access to the food. And another kind of important aspect of the block is that it is really intended to cater readily to pop-up vendors and kiosks, okay? So, and I heard a conversation earlier about, are we gonna have room for what we're doing right now in Mary Main Street? And I think if you get your ruler out, you'll realize that just the plaza alone on the southeast corner there is bigger than the footprint you've got right now with your igloos. Okay, so there's actually lots of space. This is going to be fantastic. The plazas around the perimeter of the block are going to cater well to things like the Arts Festival. The shaded areas on the east side where you see number 9 there, those are going to be covered shaded areas for pop-up kiosks year round. Okay, so we're kind of really making this as versatile and functional as we can to enable mobile commercial vendors. but also be very open and inviting to everybody. There's a vision for a water feature, and I say water feature as in, if you ever seen one of these fountains that has the jets that comes out of the floor, and so when it gets really hot in the summer, folks tend to migrate into those jets to cool off a little bit, and that's exactly what that is envisioned there. Let me see if I left anything out. Every entrance, the design is really to be inviting, so from every angle you're invited to the block, okay? Since the architects looked at this and said people are going to come into this from everywhere. So every corner, every angle needs to be inviting and viewed as an entrance. And so there's art features in every corner. There's things that are going to attract people from every angle on this block. Let me see, am I leaving anything else? And restrooms, by the way. So restrooms are, right now the design is to have those adjacent to the pavilion, but those are going to be open to the public. And with the capacity to handle the normal events, the common events. For the big concerts and things, then we'll probably have to do porta potties like they do everywhere else. It doesn't make sense to build 1,000 toilets, for one a year event. So anyway, I think that's kind of it. So our request, Pat, you want to make a recommendation here?
Yeah, and I'd like to just add, one of the first questions that may come to City Council's mind is parking. That could come to the mind of citizens, and so I've already met, wearing my Bank First hat as president of Bank First, already met with Brady Moore and John McClinney, and we're working with the city, we Bank First, to change the signage on our employee parking lot. And I know there's plans to do that with other lots in the downtown area. So there should be ample parking where we would open up, for example, Bank First parking or employee parking for use by citizens after 5 and then also on weekends. So that's just right there on the other side of Husband. And so we communicated that. I did communicated that at our Block 34 Trust meeting at 4 o'clock. And we also approved this conceptual plan and recommend approval to the City Council.
Thank you, Pat. Councilors, questions, comments about the conceptual plan?
Pat, I think you just demonstrated how powerful one family's yes can be in creating a lot more yeses. We're so grateful for your transformative generosity to the Irby family. But I also expect that we'll see this as a catalyst to a lot more that can happen downtown and in this part of our community. I think, we've had this trust. Thank you to the trust that's been working so long and so diligently on this vision. And I think it just shows the power of a yes. I think that can be really transformative. And I'm so excited for our community to have this space and to see the benefit of this private investment that's being built into this public space. I think we've seen in Oklahoma and across the country just the power of creating these types of public spaces and what it can do for a community in terms of investment from the private sector, but also just in creating community and a sense of place. And we all know how special Stillwater is in that way, and it's amazing to see somebody's commitment in such a public way coming to this space.
Absolutely. I would just highlight the fact that this is a conceptual architectural rendering at this point. This is probably not exactly the picture that it will look like when it's done, but we're very excited to have architects and folks engaged to continue to work on that. I'll also note that I've heard from a couple of other private individuals and entities in town that want to be a part of this project and that are interested in contributing in some way to making all of this a reality. It's such a beautiful picture, and I know the final result will even exceed what we're seeing here. And as Councilor Jaloski said, we'll continue to bring in even more people who want to be a part of what will be a transformational amenity for Stillwater and especially for downtown Stillwater. What else? Any other questions or comments on the design?
Jim, can you share with us, or Pat, can you share with us a little bit about what the process will look like after today's discussion and your meeting with the trust?
With the trust, I'll
Or-
let Pat
yeah.
answer that question.
I just wonder what the next steps are so we can kind of.
Well, obviously, we're subject to approval tonight, which we expect and hope. And then the next steps would be this is kind of getting into Jim's expertise, but really it's final plans, specs, cost estimates, and to really finalize all that as soon as we can, right, Steve? I mean, that's the goal, Steve and Becky, is to get to that point quickly, because we want to get to the construction point quickly. And that hope would be is starting construction next summer. To Mayor Joyce's point just a little bit ago, what we hope to have from that the hard drawings and cost estimates is have options, whatever those options may be, A, B, and C for simplicity's sake. Maybe A is an option that's not funded with the $2.7 million gift, but we can go find maybe another donor that fits in, that wants to do something to fund one of those other options. And so that would be something that we'd go to work on rather quickly after the first of the year. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes,
Okay.
it does. Thank you.
All right. We do have a recommendation on the table from the trust. Is there further discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve the proposed conceptual architectural renderings for the development of the Block 34 Park.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept that trust recommendation on the architectural renderings. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that item is also approved. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Pat. Again, thanks again certainly to the Irbies and to the Block 34 Trust that's been working so hard on this project for so long. That takes us to a COVID-19 update, item 6D. I don't have any particular update personally. I would say public health officials continue to recommend vaccination for everyone who's eligible. All adults over the age of 18 are recommended to receive a booster if you have already been vaccinated. So we continue to urge folks in town to follow those recommendations from our public health officials. Counselors, any further updates on COVID-19? All right, we'll move to item 7. Ordinances on second reading. We have ordinance 3484, an ordinance rezoning attractive land located at 2003 West 6th Avenue from O Office to CS Commercial Shopping District, and rezoning attractive land located at 610 South McFarland Street from RMI Multifamily Intermediate to CS Commercial Shopping District. Councilors, questions or motion on the ordinance?
Motion to adopt ordinance 3484.
Second.
With a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance, please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that ordinance 3484 is adopted. Item 8, resolutions. We have 2 resolutions on the agenda tonight for our upcoming tax elections. First up, I'll read item A, which is resolution CC-2021-43. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Stillwater, Oklahoma, calling for a special election on February 8th, 2022, for the purpose of submitting consideration of ordinance number 3486, which amends the Code of Ordinances of the City of Stillwater by amending Chapter 39 Taxation, Article 3 Sales and Use Tax, Division 6 Transportation Sales Tax, to create the 2022 Transportation Sales Tax by amending Section 39-238, Citation, changing the year of the Transportation Sales Tax, levying an excise tax of 1% of gross proceeds or gross receipts derived by taxable sales by amending 39-239, tax levied, providing an effective date by amending Section 239-242, the effective date, and providing for expiration of the tax levied by amending Section 39-244, duration of tax, and authorizing the mayor to sign and issue an election proclamation calling for the special election in the City of Stillwater. This as I hopefully clearly read, is the resolution which would place the 1-cent transportation sales tax on the ballot for February 8, 2022. Questions or motions?
Motion to adopt resolution number CC 2021-43.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on resolution 2021-43. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that resolution is adopted. I would also note and ask staff, actually, Mr. McNichol, we would like to ask for staff to prepare a resolution to form a citizen committee to administer and advise oversight on that transportation sales tax. If that does pass, we'd like to have a resolution available to form an oversight committee for that, to make sure that sales tax gets, to pick the projects, to oversee the projects that are done with that money.
Thank you. We'll do that. And if I may just make one quick comment, a simple reading of this might look like it's a 1 cent proposition when actually it repeals a half-cent that's already in place that would expire in, I believe, about 6 years, and makes those both expire at the same time. So the increase is a half-cent.
Yes.
Not a penny.
And the ballot language within the resolution is clear that it's repealing a current half-cent and adding a full cent. So hopefully folks will see that and understand that this is a half-cent addition for an additional period of time.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to item B, which is Resolution CC-2021-44. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Stillwater, Oklahoma, calling for a special election on February 8th, 2022, for the purpose of submitting for consideration ordinance number 3485, which amends the Code of Ordinances in the City of Stillwater by amending Chapter 39, Taxation, Article 4, Hotel Room Tax, renaming Article 4, Visitor Tax, amending Section 39-271, Definitions, amending Section 39-272, Use of Funds, levying an excise tax of 7% of gross rental receipts by amending Section 39-273, Tax Levied, amending Section 39-278, Returns, amending Section 39-286, Registration Certificates and Certificates of Authority, amending Section 39-291, Amendments, and providing for an effective date with approval by the city voters required, and authorizing the mayor to sign and issue an election proclamation calling for the special election in the City of Stillwater. This, of course, is a resolution calling for an election on increasing the current hotel room tax from 4% to 7%, renaming it from hotel tax to visitor tax to better describe how that tax is actually paid. And that's it. Comments, questions, or motion?
Motion to adopt resolution number CC 2021-44.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, resolution CC-2021-44 is adopted. I will just note that we do, in fact, already under SEDA have a visitor, I can't remember what it's called, visitor development group that will aid in making sure those tax funds are spent according to the purposes listed. All right. Item 9, reports from officers and boards. Ms. Carnley. Thank you. Mr. McNichol.
Thank you, Mayor. One item. This is something that we don't often talk about and don't think about, but is certainly vital to our city. The rehabilitation and upgrade of the West Park wastewater lift station located in the West Park neighborhood is now complete. These improvements have increased the reliability and efficiency of the lift station, so it continue to safeguard public health and the environment. Construction on 4th Avenue and Hester to replace aging water, storm sewer, streets, and sidewalks has also been completed, and we greatly appreciate the patience of residents, business owners, and the public while making these improvements.
Excellent. The unseen infrastructure that has to be kept up all the time.
Absolutely.
Nobody notices it until it isn't. Vice Mayor Zanotti.
Yes. Planning a trip? Fly through Stillwater Regional Airport. Enjoy free parking and short security lines when you fly SWO. Flying close to home is also a great way to support your local economy this holiday season. You can book your flights using airport code SWO at AA.com. And I guarantee it, the best part is the drive home.
So wonderful.
10 minutes.
It is the best. Councilor Hawkins.
Thanks to a new pilot program, Stillwater residents can pick up a free medical sharps container at the Convenience Collection Center and return filled containers to be properly disposed of at no cost, no questions asked. When placed in the trash, even in plastic containers, flushed, littered, or stored at home, sharp sharps pose severe health and safety risks. Safe sharps disposal is important for protecting our families, communities, sanitation, and service workers and the environment. This free collection program runs now through mid-May 2022.
Thank you. Councilor Jaloski.
Yes. Thank you to all who organized, volunteered, and contributed in any way to last week's holiday events. Stillwater's Holiday Parade of Lights and drone show were phenomenal. Please continue to shop SWO and love where you live by keeping dollars local. It was so warm and so amazing to be in downtown Stillwater last week and then on Block 34 and Mary Main Street for the drone show. It was unreal.
Yeah.
It really was. The parade was fantastic, well organized, lots of cool floats, and then I had so many comments of people who just said, "Oh, we just started to walk back to our car, and all of a sudden this crazy show was happening above our heads." I think I've gotten more requests for that to happen again.
I
than
think
just
it's
about
going to become a
anything that's
tradition,
ever-
yes.
It was like Star Wars for a second. It was amazing.
It was really cool. I will let you know that the Stillwater Fire Department encourages area residents who live outside the city limits but within the fire department's response area to purchase their rural fire service contract for 2022. These contracts are $100 and they ensure that the response fees for each fire incident on a contracted property will not exceed $2,000. If you've ever had to have the fire department come out to respond to a fire in a rural area, it can oftentimes be much more expensive than $2,000. So this contract limits the expense to that. All collected fees go towards training, rescue tools, and other fire equipment needs. Please visit stillwater.org/fire to download your application. That is all I have on the City Council agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn the City Council. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the City Council meeting is now adjourned. At this time, I will call to order the December 6th, 2021 meeting of the Stillwater Economic Development Authority. And on the consent docket, we have meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
A motion and a second on consent. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the consent docket's approved. Under general orders, we have the same three items from the Block 34 Trust. I don't know, unless trustees, you have any questions, additional questions for Pat?
So Pat Zimmerman again, 3820 West Deer Crossing Drive. Don't have anything else to add other than we met at 4 o'clock. The trust did, and we recommend approval to SEDA.
Thank you, Pat. So we will take these in order on the agenda. The first up is the approval of the donation and naming rights agreement for the Stillwater Designs and Audio for the development and construction of a Block 34 park to include an in-kind donation for architectural and engineering design and construction documents and a $2.7 million donation for the construction of Block 34 park. Is there a motion, trustees?
Motion to approve the Block 34 Trust recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that agreement is approved. Item B is approved donation agreement with Stillwater Designs and Audio, Inc. for programming and operations of Block 34 live music programming to include an $800,000 donation for operation and maintenance of Block 34 Park. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Block 34 Trust recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this donation agreement. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that is approved. And item C is to approve the proposed conceptual architectural renderings of the development of Block 34 Park. Is there a motion?
It's my turn. Motion to approve the conceptual architecture renderings for the development of Block 34 Park.
Second.
A motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, those renderings are approved. Thank you
On behalf
again.
of the trust, thank you very much, and thank you, Steve and Becky Irby.
Are there new reports from the officers or the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, we're now adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for the evening.